In this part, we establish impact. This is all about establishing the impact and value to clients. We're going to rely heavily on the results of the previous work that you've done. It's important to articulate the impact and value across three horizons: the short, medium, and long terms. We're going to seek to quantify the impact. Now, this does not have to be scientific, but you should always be able to measure it. Establishing the impact across multiple horizons is essential to designing and creating a truly compelling solution, and not just a quick fix that may sound great, but could easily disappear overnight. Most people neglect to do this, and focus usually only on one of the horizons, generally the short or the long term. Now, it's not easy, but a great and sustainable solution, and eventually the product, will have multiple impacts over time. These are going to be different, and that's exactly the way it should be. Before you do this, here are some key guidelines. The time frames are not to be seen as scientific, but should be used as directional. The short term is usually around 30 to 90 days. The reality is people are focused on their own and their immediate needs and issues. That's just the way it is, and there's no sense in fighting it. In the short term, we seek to understand how it affects the individual and their immediate environment, how it makes their lives better. In the medium term, around 3 months to a year, how does it affect someone's community and broader environment? In the longer term, usually over the course of several years, how is it going to affect society, the environment, systems at play, government, and the like? It's essential to remember to articulate the impacts in such a way that we can actually measure them. Let's take a look at our example. You should use the same template as the basis for your own analysis. In the short term, we seek to understand the impacts on the individual and their immediate environment. In this case, these are the parents and guardians, as well as the children. Let's understand what impact a potential solution would have on these stakeholders. From a parent or guardian perspective, we would expect to see a stop to fighting, or certainly less fighting with the kids over the morning and evening drives. We would expect to see lower stress levels, a safer drive, and better ability to function at work and at home. From a child's perspective, we would also expect to see a stop to fighting, or certainly less daily fighting with the parents over the morning and evening drives, a lower frustration level, and better ability to function and concentrate at school. Measurable and valued impacts. In the medium term, we start to see the impacts extend to the broader network, in this case the school caregivers and the work relationships. For school caregivers, we would expect to see an easier time handling the kids and the parents thanks to lower frustration levels, more predictable and easier activities due to lower tardiness rates. From a work relationship standpoint, we would expect the parents and the guardians to see improved relationships thanks to lower tardiness and lower frustration levels overall. Here again, measurable and valued impacts. In the long term, we expect to see various impacts on systems, government, and even the environment. In this case, the school system, the health system, and indeed the environment as well. Some of the impacts on the school system may include higher student performance, higher parent engagement, and overall support for the school. From a health system perspective, we expect to see a reduction in inter-family rivalry and lower treatment costs. From an environmental standpoint, we could expect to see lower emission rates thanks to more efficient commuting and less time on the road. In this term as well, measurable and valued impacts indeed. After you fill this out, here are a few key questions to ask. Is the impact really compelling across each horizon? Can you indeed measure the impact? Is the value that people would see as an outcome truly compelling? You're going to validate this with people, but what's your honest assessment? Do not be afraid to go back and refine. It's cheap, easy, and far better to do this now. Now articulate this for your own idea. Use the example as a live reference.